Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another GitBook webinar. We'll get started in just a little bit. If you're new here, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I'll give it just a few more minutes and we'll get started. Hello, everyone. If you're just joining now, welcome back to another GitBook webinar. We're just going to get started in about another minute or so. So feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from and say hi. I have my teammate Sarah also in the chat. She's going to be helping me to answer any questions that come up throughout the webinar. So yeah, feel free to say hi. And like I said, hang tight. We'll get started in a second. I think last time we did the webinar as well, the music might have been a bit loud. I'll make sure we turn that off before we get started too, so don't worry. If you have any questions as well throughout the webinar, feel free to ask. My teammate Sarah, she's going to be in the chat answering any questions that come up. We're also going to leave some time, as always, at the end where I'll cover whatever questions you have about the topic we're covering today. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. Okay, so welcome, like I said, back to another GitBook webinar. Today we are going to cover how to update your docs without leaving your workflow. We're going to focus on a specific feature that we released a few weeks ago called GitBook Channels. They're super powerful. They allow you to work with your team in the tools you're already using. And we're going to dive into all of them, see how they work, give you some typical use cases you might use the channels for, and then also look at how you can continue editing the change requests and the changes that you're making in these tools using GitBook Agent. So we'll take a look at the whole entire workflow. If you haven't been to a webinar before, my name's Addison. I work on our developer relations team. I also run most of our webinars here, so you might have seen me do one in the past. I hang out a lot in our community, which is on GitHub. So if you do have any questions or just want to say hi, feel free to hop into our community on GitHub afterwards and say hi there. We'll do a quick agenda as well. So I'm going to set the stage and give some context on what GitBook channels are, the different ones that we support, and then we'll dive into a demo and basically dive into how to use them, how to collaborate on changes with GitBook Agent, and then also reviewing changes as well. As always, like I said, we'll leave some room for Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions that come up, well, as I mentioned before, feel free to ask them throughout the webinar. My teammate Sarah, she's in the chat. She can help. She can help answer them as the webinar is going on. But I'll also leave some time at the end where I'll take a look back at the chat and help answer any questions that go on. I think this webinar might be a little bit shorter than the previous webinars that we've run in the past, but that's just because we're focusing on one specific use case, and that might give us a little bit more time at the end to answer questions as well. So let's dive in and talk about what channels are. As I mentioned, we released GitBook Channels a few weeks ago, and what they allow you to do is open changes in the tools that you're already working in. So we support 3 tools as of now. We support GitHub, Slack, and Linear. And what it essentially allows you to do is work with GitBook Agent inside of these tools. So you can already start to imagine if you're collaborating with your team on pull requests in GitHub, you can now bring GitBook Agent into the mix and say, hey, this feature is already done. Can you document this for me? Similarly, in Slack, if you're having conversations with your team on, oh, I noticed the docs were out of date, or you have maybe an important discussion about a product feature, and there's a lot of context inside of that thread. Again, you can bring GitBook Agent into the mix and ask it to summarize the thread and suggest changes in the docs that might need to be updated. And last but not least, very similarly with Linear, if you're using Linear to work on different tickets and triage different bugs that come in, once things are fixed, you can also call GitBook Agent inside of the inside of Linear and ask it to help document everything. As I mentioned as well, we are going to take a look at GitBook Agent 2 because GitBook Agent is essentially being used to start these change requests. But after they're started, they end back up in GitBook, and you can continue to work on the changes inside of the GitBook editor. You can also review the changes with GitBook Agent and have like this whole flywheel effect of keeping everything up to date again without having to leave the tools that you're using in the first place. So without further ado, let's dive in and take a look at a quick demo. So if you've, again, tuned into a webinar before, I've been slowly building out this app called Syncly, which is a mock app for scheduling calendar invites. So we've used this site in the past to demo a lot of new features. A quick lay of the land as well, something that I want to mention. We are rolling out some new UI changes to help you and your team work on the documentation sites that you have in GitBook. So the UI that you see on my screen, you might not have yet. We are rolling it out very slowly. So hang tight. It's going to be coming very, very soon if you don't see this same view that you see on my screen. But yeah, feel free to follow along. This is also going to be recorded as well. So you can come back and take a look at this afterwards, and it should all make sense. All of the features as well that I cover, if you don't see this UI just yet, are still available in the old UI as well. So you'll still be able to follow along and use these features even if you don't see this UI just yet. So GitBook channels are basically a way that you can extend your site. We've taken a look at connections in the past, which allow you to hook up extra sources to the assistant in the published side of things. We have also taken a look at the docs embed, which allows you to bring assistant into like your product or your website, and a few of these other things as well. But one thing that we haven't covered yet is channels. Again, the GitBook agent side of things, and using that in the different tools. So if you want to access it, you can head to your site settings and head over to the channels section here, and you'll see the three tools that I was mentioning before. So Slack, GitHub, and Linear. And we're going to go through all of them and take a look at what it means and the different configurations for each one. And we're going to start with GitHub. We're going to take a look at the use case of a teammate or yourself building a new feature, like a new product feature in GitHub. We've opened up maybe a pull request into our repo, into our product, and then we're going to call GitBook Agent to basically help us update our docs based on the new code and the new stuff that's happened. So before you are able to use any of this, you do need to add a configuration. I will say I've gone through and added these already, but I'll show you the UI on screen and explain what everything means. When you add a new configuration, you'll also be asked if you want to add it as a support agent or a collaborator. Now, they're a little bit different, and it will make a little bit more sense depending on the tool that you're using. But essentially, if you're using it as a support agent, it won't be able to open up change requests and make changes for you. It will simply just basically be able to be used as an assistant. So you can still add it, let's say, to a GitHub pull request, but you can just ask it. It's something like, oh, is this documented in my docs yet? What does this feature mean? How does this relate to the rest of my docs? But it won't be able to make those changes. It will only be able to make those changes if you select collaborator here, and then you'll click create channel. Like I said, I have this already set up. So let's take a look at a real life use case and see what it looks like. So I do have a full repo as well of this, of my docs and also my app. This is just on my my GitHub. So we have all of our documentation inside of here, and then the source is actually the product itself. And as you see in this pull request, I've essentially added a new feature. It has a bunch of different code. It adds a new API route for task management to our API. And because this is a new feature, this is obviously not documented yet. And because I now have this GitHub channel set up and I have it set up as a collaborator, I can simply go ahead and start to tag it inside of the comments, and it will help me document this. So let me just tag at GitBook. You don't have to select an actual user as well. You simply just need to type at GitBook. You can say, can you help me document this? And you'll see that it has, well, identified that it was called. So it's taking a look at this, and we should see this in real time. As this loads, and as it takes a look at this, because it's going to take a look at our docs, have a look at what needs to be fixed, I'm going to bring us through the rest of the configurations, and then we'll come back and check on all of these afterwards. So the next one that I want to do while that's running is focus on linear as well. And it works, again, very, very similarly if you want to add it as a support agent or collaborator. So again, these can be useful depending on how you want to use this with your team. If you want to kind of manage most of the changes, but you still want your team to have access to ask GitBook questions, maybe it might make more sense to have it as a support agent versus a collaborator. But we're, with the project that I'm working on and for this demo, we're going to use the collaborator function for all of this. And after you select that, you can create a channel. As I mentioned, I have that already set up. And here's also just like a demo linear org that I have for the Syncly product. And I have a open ticket from, we can imagine, a teammate. And it's basically saying the calendar overview page is incomplete. Maybe this would have been reported by a user or someone else, and it ended up in linear for us to triage. So the page is here. This is live from a previous webinar. It's actually something that we didn't really fill out because it was just mock data, and you can see it's just a mock page for the calendar section. So we're going to go ahead and document that. And very similarly, what we want to do is just call GitBook. This time you will tag it inside of linear. And you can just ask it as well. Can you help me to document this? Something I want to mention as well is when you call GitBook Agent inside of either Linear, GitHub, or Slack, what it will actually do is use all of the context from the ticket, the issue, or whatever, wherever you're calling it. But you can also provide extra information as well. So you can say, can you take this into account, or basically just add extra context inside of your message while you're working with it. So we'll come back to that because I want to also finish up with Slack. Let's take a look. Yep, this one's finished too. So we'll come back to these and take a look and see what it's done. But the last channel that we also support is Slack. And this allows you to, again, mention GitBook inside of Slack to open change requests or get answers based on a thread inside of a conversation. So very similarly, you can add a configuration, and you can either add it as a support agent or collaborator. I've already added this as a collaborator, but something that I want to also mention is you can add multiple configurations for each channel. And the Slack one, I think, is the most useful. So if I want to add a support agent, we'll basically first have to connect it to Slack, and then we'll sign in and add it. But I wanted to highlight this specific toggle, which is restricting it to specific channels. And the reason I want to point this out is because if you add GitBook as a collaborator to your Slack workspace, it means anybody can call it. So if you are working in Slack with things like connected channels, or you have external users who are inside of your Slack organization, you might want to set each one to be, might want to restrict it to a specific channel, because if everybody has access to GitBook Agent as a collaborator and they're not actually on your team, if they're as a part of a Slack Connect, they'll still be able to call it, maybe by accident. And then they'll basically be able to create these change requests, and things might get a little bit messy if that's not how you are intending to use it. So you can restrict it to specific channels, maybe only to internal ones for a collaborator. And then you can also use the support agent for the more public facing ones. So if someone calls GitBook, who's, again, not in your org, or maybe like a customer and they're inside of your Slack, they won't be able to make the changes, but they can still use GitBook Assistant and ask it for questions based on the doc. So basically, again, bringing GitBook Assistant this time into Slack. So I already have this set up. Excuse me. I'm going to just delete this. You can also do very similar things with the GitHub and linear configurations as well. You can limit it to specific repos and organizations and projects and teams as well. So make sure you take a look at that and see how you want to configure that. I have these just set for all of them for the demo purposes. So if we go to Slack, I just have a channel here in a different workspace. And I'm just basically going to highlight another part of the docs that are incomplete. So this time it's the notifications section. It's incomplete from a previous webinar. And this might be a very common message that you see inside of your own Slack teams. Someone pointing out, hey, there's a gap in our docs. This needs a little bit of love. We need to fix this. And you'll see this is asking some questions. It doesn't have a lot of stuff. It's missing this, this, and this. And you'll also see inside of the thread, I mean, obviously this is just me in this organization, but this will take into account everyone's context that they leave inside of the thread. And they might say, oh, like, you know, this should be documented this way. This means this, like all of the context inside of the thread. And you can also, at that point, then just call at GitBook. Can you help us to document, to update the docs on this? Oops, I do need to add it to the channel first. And there we go. It's starting to think on what it needs to do. And we'll see it like searching in real time what needs to be done. Cool. So let's go back now and take a look at each of the different apps that we connected and see what it basically did. So we'll start with the GitHub one that we started with at the beginning. So basically, after we called it reasoned for a bit. You can see all of the logs. It read different pull requests, or actually this pull request. It also read and searched for our current docs, and it basically thought about how can we update this based on all of the context that we have. And essentially what it did is created a new change request for the new feature. It gives you an overview of what it now covers, and it also tells you this is not merged yet. So we need to open our editor, take a look at the change request, and we can also take a look at like just some information about the app right here. Very similarly, I won't spend too much time covering this, but it basically does the same thing in linear as well. So we now have a link as well to look at the change request. We'll take a look at that in a second, but I just want to highlight. You can see, I think, some of the logs here. So yeah, it had a look at like what it needed to do and what it actually did. So this one also opened a change request. And last but not least, the one that we just did, same thing. It also opened a change request. So we're just asking it to, hey, take all of the context that I'm having with my team from the code, from the issue, from the thread, wherever it is, and create a change request for me. Now, if we head back to GitBook, we can take a look and see how this is actually useful for us. So again, I'm still inside of my documentation here, but I can head to the change requests tab, and we can take a look at the 3 different change requests that we've created in the demo so far. So let's hop into each one and take a look and see basically what it's done. Oops, let me just reload this. So this is the one from GitBook, or excuse me, GitHub. You can also see the links on all of these as well. So it has all of this context on the updates that it makes and like where it comes from. And if we scroll down, we can take a look at the new changes that we are having here. The different pages that it might make, and again, see everything inside of a diff view. We can always also open this inside of, let me make this a little bit bigger here. Can always open this inside of the editor view as well. So we can see like the overview, the editing view, if we want to continue making changes. And we can always also open GitBook Agent and continue working on these changes with it inside of here. This is also exactly the context and the thinking that happened when I called it from GitHub. So basically, we can take a look back at the context and say like, oh, it was thinking about this, it was using this. I can also just ask this and continue working on it. Say something like, can you double check for typos or something like this. I also want to highlight, this is the new GitBook Agent editing screen. We just launched this a few weeks ago as well. Hopefully it's a lot more useful. It has a lot more context about like what you're currently working on. Yeah, and it looks like it found like a different old link. So let's ask it to just update that for us right now. Yes, please update that. You'll also be able to see like which pages are being updated, changed, etc. Now, looks like everything's good. Let's just review this one more time. You can always also ask GitBook Agent to re-review your changes. I think this is a little bit more useful if you're working on this with your actual team. So GitBook Agent wrote this. It can also review its own changes, and it might find some extra things, but most of the time, if it already wrote it, it's not going to find a whole lot. But just wanted to highlight that you can always just click one click here, and it will review it there. But yeah, we can basically merge this after it's done. Heading back to the change request tab, we can take a look at the other features that we have open here, the change requests that we have open here. This looks like it, basically, well, makes some better changes and adds some more context on the pages that we have. Let me just update this to pull in those new changes, and then, oops. I just need to reload this. And I'm just going to merge this, but the same thing, you can always work with GitBook Agent inside of these. You can have it to review your changes. You can have it to, ask it to improve certain things like SEO, check links, typos, or help generate content as well. So let me go ahead and merge this. Again, yeah, you have all of the links, which I think is pretty useful as well. If you are someone who's working on mostly inside of GitBook and you're like managing the release cycle for your docs, this hopefully is a really nice overview for yourself to see where these changes are coming in from, who's creating them. You can link back to where the thread was happening, so you can take a look if it missed something. So you, as someone who's kind of maintaining the docs and the deployment cycle, you'll have a lot more information to manage that basically. So I'll just merge this one as well. I also want to mention is we are always wanting to make this this whole overview a lot better as well. So if this is something that you're using a lot, make sure you let us know. Hop into our community and let us know how this is basically working for you. And just to kind of recap now, let's take a look at our site. So we can always go back then and just merge this here. Let me just merge that change. It looks like this new task point is already live. So yeah, looks great. It's already documented and we didn't have to do anything. Now, obviously, if this is your actual docs, you might want to review the GitBook agent a little bit more. You can always edit it as well inside of agents. So you can also give it custom instructions if you want to basically have it follow like a style guide or a tone of voice. So if you are working with, GitBook Agent more, and you want it to kind of fit in better automatically with the way that you're writing and crafting docs, you can paste in whatever instructions you want here. So it might do a better job right out of the box on making changes for you. But yeah, the tasks, this is updated. These should also be updated as well. I'm not sure if we did the calendar overview and the notifications overview. And yeah, everything is updated and it looks a lot better. So yeah, this was a quick demo on the new channels feature. Again, to find it, head to your settings under extend. Under channels, you can set these up and start using them and working with GitBook Agent as a collaborator. I think that's it for the demo. Let me stop sharing real quick and let's dive into some questions. One sec. So I believe, yeah, it looks like Sarah has been helping me to answer a lot of questions here so far. It's a little hard for me to keep track of what's answered, not. So feel free to re-ask some of the questions if it didn't get answered just yet. It's a good question from Pip on if it will, when it will be approved by Slack. That's a good question. I don't have a timeline on that, but let me check with our team and see. Let us know if that's something that's a requirement for your team to use it, and we'll definitely try to expedite that. Luca, yes, this will be recorded and you can find it on gitbook.com/events afterwards, also on our YouTube. So yeah, this will all be, and we'll send it out in an email afterwards too. Can GitBook Channels work with the GitHub releases page? I assume you're talking about the releases itself. Not just yet. Right now, it's only working inside of pull requests. Storm, will collaborations via channel add extra collaborator users to your account? No, it doesn't, Storm. So it doesn't add extra collaborator or users to your account because it's essentially using GitBook Agent for everything. So you might have to provision different users in like GitHub or Linear and Slack, but if they have access there, they can call it. And again, I would highly recommend to take a look at the restricted channels and restricted organizations, workspaces, et cetera, for the different integrations and channels, because that's how you would gate access for different people. An ETA and Intercom being released as a channel. I don't have a specific date, but we are still testing it right now along with Zendesk. We are actually, this is maybe a good shout out, we are looking for design partners for testing out the Intercom and Zendesk integrations. So please let us know. I think hop into our community. Let me paste the link here. Hop into our community. Let us know you're interested in, let's say, yeah, Intercom or Zendesk, and we'll reach out and try to get you onboarded as we're finalizing our testing with it. Let's see. Kelly, that's a good question as well on if it does a better job taking in the correct context from linear code or other sources. It's hard to say. I would basically just say the more context that you give it, the better. I would recommend to take a look and see where you can integrate it again with the tools that you're currently using and see how it works in your current workflow. Zendesk and GitHub integrations. Yep, we definitely have those on our list to explore. And yes, I see a link, a request for the docs as well. Let me send those over. You can find the docs for GitBook Channels right here. I also see an ask for Jira, also something we're exploring, but we don't have any official timeline on that just yet. All right. Yeah, like I said, this was a little bit shorter of a webinar, but hopefully I gave you enough context to hop in and take a look at channels and enable it for yourself and use them. Please let us know in our community which one you are using, and again, which ones that you want us to support as well. And we'll see you in there. So yeah, thank you so much. Keep an eye out for our next webinar. We don't have it scheduled just yet, but we'll let you know. You can always visit us on our YouTube or gitbook.com/events to see what we're up to next. So thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. We'll send the recording and have a great rest of your day. Bye.